What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, braised, rich, amazing Yorkshire burritos. That's right, folks. We made a gigantic Yorkshire pudding, filled it with some smoky braised beef, topped with a lovely beefy gravy, alongside some onion and sage stuffing, some roasted potatoes, and a little bit of spinach just to make this whole thing healthy. Coming up. This is some meat. Ooh. Pat it dry. And what I've got here is a couple of chuck roasts. Pick these up at the grocery store, but you could use whatever kind of meat you like. You know, braised short rib would be perfect for this recipe, but you know, short rib's pretty expensive. And it might be a little too rich, honestly, because today we're taking a look at the Yorkshire Burrito. And if you followed along our European adventure series over the last couple of months, me and the boys stopped in London at a place called Yorkshire Burrito, which is essentially a giant Yorkshire pudding filled with braised beef, some roasted potatoes, some greens, and a sage and onion stuffing, all wrapped up in that Yorkshire pudding like a burrito, and it was pretty dang tasty, and definitely something I want to try and recreate at home. And because it's a burrito wrapped in a Yorkshire pudding, filled with braised meat and gravy, I think something like beef cheeks or barbacoa or short rib might be a little bit too rich, so that's why I'm going with the chuck roast today. But of course, anything you got will work out just fine. And honestly, I was about to start cubing this up because 90% of the time whenever I buy a chuck roast, it's for burgers or sausage or something like that, but we're not doing that today. We're gonna smoke these off whole. And in fact, we're not gonna do anything other than get them seasoned up. You could go around and take out some of this extra fat or the silver skin if you want, but because this is gonna be braising overnight, I think that should all break down and add some wonderful flavor. So all we really need to do is throw some seasoning on this stuff. And for our rub today, I'm going on with some Chuds BBQ steak rub. This stuff is super tasty, but up until about 1 second ago, I was planning on using SPG. But because the SPG is so pepper heavy, I feel like it might be a little overpowering at the end, because what we're gonna do is smoke these for a couple hours, then braise them overnight in some beef stock. So I worry that all that pepper might hydrate in the braise and become a little too powerful, but I'm sure it would be fine either way. But the steak rub's just got some really nice salt, pepper, garlic flavors already, a little bit of umami boosters in there, and just a well-balanced rub. And eventually we're going to take that braising liquid that we're going to be using and use that to make our gravy. So I'm not going too heavy with the rub today, but I'm going to make sure to get the sides for maximum coverage. And really, this should be a pretty simple recipe. And that is looking pretty much perfect to me. So let's go ahead and fire up the pit. And on the pit we go. Really not doing anything too technical today. Just trying to get some smoke flavor on these bad boys, maybe build up a little bit of bark, because we are braising this after it's smoked, which is where the majority of the cooking will take place, but really we're just trying to add some good smoky flavor. So we're gonna be rocking this pit around 250, 275 for the next probably 3-4 hours, just to get some good smoke on it, because this is gonna be cooked to tenderness overnight. So I'm not really looking for any internal temp on that or anything like that. But again, just trying to add some of that Texas flavor to this roast, because I think a little post-oak smoke will be a lovely pairing with our Yorkshire burrito. So we'll check back in on this in probably 3-4 hours. And while that cooks, we can go ahead and get our Yorkshire pudding batter made. Starting, I'm going into this bowl with 8 eggs, and get those all whisked up. Next up, I'm gonna sift in our all-purpose flour, just to get out any lumps, and get that all mixed in with our eggs. Also go in with our salt at this point. And once everything is coming together, we're gonna go in with our water, as well as our milk. I'm gonna go in little by little so I don't spray this all over the place. And once everything is nice and smooth, our batter is done. Oh yeah, looks like eggnog. And now into the fridge this goes to rest overnight. And you certainly don't need to rest your dough overnight, but it does give time for the flour to hydrate and all those flavors to come together. And that's what Kenji recommends, and he did a whole bunch of tests on Yorkshire puddings. And I've always done it, and they always come out really good. And it's also convenient to get this done ahead of time. 4 hours later, these chuck roasts are looking nice and smoky. Nice and juicy too. Loving the color on that, smelling smoky, feeling warm. I just probed them, they're like 150, 160 inside, so looking good, smelling good, and I'm glad I bought 2 because I was very close to just using the 1, but that shrunk up a lot already. So into the crock pot they go. And to be honest, I kind of want to slice in right now. That looks really good. Might need to do some more experimenting with chuck roast in the new year. Throw it on the old Chud box or something. So now what I'm gonna do is cover this stuff up with some of my homemade smoky beef stock. And you've seen me make beef stock on the channel plenty of times before, so don't need to show you that again. But you could do this with store-bought beef stock. That's a little risky because a lot of that stuff is really salty, so you have to be aware of that. But I suppose you could also kind of make your own stock while you're doing this. If you just fill this up with water and then threw some bones in there as well, it'd be kind of braising the meat and making your own stock at the same time. But that might make it harder to strain, so easier to do it this way. But again, because there's already herbs and peppercorns and vegetables in the beef stock, I don't need to add anything else to this. If I was using a normal stock, I'd probably throw in some carrots or something like that to add some more flavors, because we're basically making a pot roast right now. But we're keeping it simple today, so I'm gonna rock this thing on low overnight until everything is nice and shreddy and nice and tender. So to get our roast potatoes started, I've got some water up to a boil that I'm going to throw in a big fat pinch of salt, maybe 2, as well as about a tablespoon of some baking soda. That's going to make the water a little more alkaline, which should yield in some more crispy potatoes. And we got some gold potatoes that I just cubed up, skins and all, because these are going into a burrito after all, so we can get away with something a little more rustic. And now we're going to boil these for probably about 10-15 minutes until they're feeling nice and tender. And now that a probe goes through nice and easily, out these come into a strainer. And after letting these steam off for a couple minutes, we're going to go ahead and rough them up a little bit, kind of create a little mashed potato exterior on these to get them extra crispy, something like that. And then we're going to generously oil up a baking sheet here. This is just some olive oil, but you can use whatever kind of oil you like. And then down we go. Get these all tossed around in that oil, make sure they're all spread out nice and evenly. Little drizzle of oil on the tops. And now into a 400-degree oven these go for the next probably 30 minutes to an hour. And I'm gonna flip them here and there to make sure we get some even browning for these lovely roasted potatoes. And while those roast away, let's go ahead and make our sage and onion stuffing. Starting by going in with a big healthy knob of some butter. Get that melting down. And once that's melted and looking nice and boobly, we're gonna go in with our yellow onions. A lot of onion. Get those cooking down. And after cooking down for about 10 minutes or so, these are looking good, nice and translucent, starting to take on a little bit of color, but not too much. Now we can go in with everything else, including our freshly chopped sage leaves, as well as our parsley. And we'll get that mixed in. Oh God, it smells so good. Followed by our thinly sliced up garlic. And let this all cook down for just a minute or so. That garlic's pretty thin, so it should not take long to become nice and fragrant. And now it smells even better. But lastly, we're gonna go in with our breadcrumbs and get this all folded together. And this is just your classic white sandwich bread that I cut the crusts off and tossed in the old food processor. Lovely texture though. And now into this little bread dish, I'm gonna grease it up. That sounded cool. And in we go with all of our stuffing. Just a nice loose pack, nothing too dense. But now into a 350-degree oven this goes for the next probably 20-30 minutes. And while everything cooks away, let's go ahead and revisit our beef that has been braising overnight. Ooh, it smells suspiciously like barbacoa. But now I've got this little strainer situation, which I use for barbacoa all the time, and we're gonna see how tender these are. Hopefully I can pick them up. Oh, nope. Yep, just falling apart. Tongs are probably not the best tool for the job here. Oh yeah, that is impossibly tender. Oh no. Looking nice and barky, nice and smoky, and then just, oh yeah, beautiful stuff. Yeah. Yup. I'm gonna go ahead and fish all this stuff out of here. Smelling beefy, smelling smoky. And again, I'm glad I made 2 of these because that turned out to be not all that much meat after it all cooked down. But now I'm gonna go ahead and shred this all up. And the extra fat or liquid will strain through the bottom, which we can add back in if this is looking a little too dry. But we are gonna be covering this with gravy. And just like that, all shredded up, looking very good. Loving the texture on that. And it really does look a lot like barbacoa. So now I'm gonna set this aside to keep warm and go ahead and strain out all of this braising liquid. And then I'm gonna take about half of this stock, pour it into a pot here, and reduce this down for a little bit, and save the rest of this stock for making our gravy in a little bit. And after several minutes of this stuff boiling down, we're left with a concentrated, super thick version of our stock, which we're gonna add to our beef. And the reason for that is whenever you boil beef in water, when you're making a stock or a soup or a braise or anything, a lot of the flavor from the meat is gonna go into the broth, which is, you know, how you make stock. So this is really not all that flavorful at this point, but all the flavor it had, plus some more, is now in the braising liquid, which we just concentrated, and now we're gonna add back in, and look how thick that is, which is gonna help add a lot more flavor, as well as some nice sticky texture from all the gelatin in the stock, and make this meat a little less dry looking. And just get that all mixed up. And already that is looking and smelling so much better. So now we're gonna give this a taste for seasoning. Oh yeah. It's so beefy. Little pinch of salt, really not much needed here. And just like that, our beautiful braised beef is done. And just like that, fresh out of the oven, these roasted potatoes are looking absolutely beautiful and nice and crispy. Listen to that. Very happy with how these are looking. I'm gonna hit them with a big fat pinch of salt and set these aside to cool down for a little bit. So at this point, we've got our beef, our lovely roasted potatoes, our sage and onion stuffing, our Yorkshire batter is made. So now all we gotta do is bust out a quick beefy gravy, cook off our Yorkies, and assemble. And to make our gravy, into a pot we're gonna go in with some butter and get that melting down. And then we're gonna go in with some Wondra flour and just get this cooking down to cook off that raw flour taste, as well as get this roux going a little bit more, as well as darken this roux just a little bit. And once that roux is cooked for a couple of minutes, we've got a nice kind of tan color here, but you could make this darker if you wanted to. And now we're gonna go in with our beef stock. Just a little bit at first and get that all whisked up. Oh yeah, looking nice and thick. And then we'll go in with the rest. That was 50 grams of butter, 50 grams of Wondra flour, and 1 quart of beef stock. And bring this up to a simmer. And once up to a boil, this is looking nice and thick and smelling incredibly beefy, but looking beautiful. Coats the back of the spoon. Oh, that is so good. Very smoky, very beefy. Taste and adjust, salt level is good, but I'm gonna brighten it up a little with just a splash of some red wine vinegar. Add a little bit of acidity, but at this point you taste and adjust and your gravy is absolutely beautiful. So in order to cook these Yorkshire puddings, I've got this toaster oven out here ripping at about 450 degrees with a 10-inch cast iron pan in there that's been preheating for about 10 minutes, looking nice and smoky. So now I'm gonna pull it out and pour in our batter. But first we're gonna throw in a couple tablespoons of some Wagyu beef tallow. Really don't need as much as you think. Now I'm gonna pop this back into the toaster oven and let this heat up for a couple minutes. And once smoking hot, we're gonna pour in our batter. Just trying to kind of fill the bottom here. Beautiful. And now back in the oven for probably about 15 minutes or so. And really I should just be doing this in the toaster oven, but it's really high up and my tripod doesn't go that high. And the toaster oven is in direct sunlight and it doesn't look very good right now. We're getting some pretty big puffage in there, folks. And just like that, after about 10 minutes, we've got ourselves a gigantic maximum puff Yorkshire pudding. And this thing looks absolutely fantastic. Kind of got the cup shape we were going for, but it's definitely going to deflate as it cools down. But that smells absolutely fantastic. Yorkie number 2 coming out, looking even more beautiful than the last. I turned the convection off for this one, but it's a lot more even of a golden brown. Happy with how these are looking. And at long last, everything is ready to go. So let's assemble these Yorkshire burritos. But quick note, those do take about 15-20 minutes to cook, which is why it's a lot darker and colder, hence the long sleeve. But oh man, I forgot my holiday hat. Hold on. There we go. Now it's time to assemble the Yorkshire burrito. These are looking pretty good, liking the color. Definitely not the same shape as theirs. Those are like perfect cones, but I saw them pulling them out of plastic bags, so they're probably industrial made. So either way, I'm gonna fire up the Chud press here, get these toasted off a little bit just to heat them through. To assemble, we're gonna start out with some of our onion and sage stuffing. This stuff is really good, by the way. I don't think I've ever had an onion and sage stuffing before, but I've been snacking on it. Very simple recipe too. Followed by some of our lovely shredded braised beef, some spinach, because you got to have some greens on there, some of our lovely potatoes, smush them down a little bit, and to finish it off, a lovely healthy pour of our beautiful beefy gravy. Oh yeah, this is looking ridiculous. And there it is, folks, my version. Well, actually, it's my recreation of their version of the Yorkshire burrito. Now we got to roll it up and wrap it up. All right, just bring it all together. I think mine is a little bit more on the gigantic side, but good gravy. This is just ridiculous. Like I mentioned, this is what we had when we were over there, but I think they make different versions of this thing. And we may have to revisit this with more of a barbecue mindset or some prime rib in here or something like that. But let me know in the comment section what we should Yorkshire burrito next, because there's so many possibilities. And you gotta have the gravy. Loving this gravy made out of the braising liquid technique though. I gotta say folks, this one's pretty ridiculous, but I mean, it's just a giant Yorkshire pudding covered in smoky braised meat and a lovely beef gravy, roasted potatoes and spinach and stuffing, and yeah, I'm ready to dive on in. This thing is gigantic. Looks a lot bigger than the ones we had over there, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna cut it in half to reveal a beautiful cross section. Look at that. Yup. Definitely didn't need to make two. Bottoms up. Oh, whoa. Oh man, that is so flavorful. Wow, that is so much better than I was expecting it to be. I don't know why, it's all really good ingredients in there, but it's just not as heavy and ridiculous tasting as it looks, you know what I mean? The Yorkshire pudding adds that really nice, like, soft, eggy note. The beef is not too overpowering. It works really well with the potatoes. That sage stuffing brings that holiday flavor. This is a keeper. Oh, it's so meaty. And that gravy just moistens everything right on up. That is ridiculous. It's just a holiday meal wrapped up into one easy to eat convenient package. That is insanely good. Oh, and it's really not that messy too. I was worried gravy would be going everywhere, but it's staying in the pud. Really glad I went for the braised beef. I think, again, barbacoa would have been way too overpowering and greasy for this, but it's very close in that flavor profile because it's smoky and that's coming through, but it's not too overpowering. The potatoes kind of break up the texture because they're pretty crispy, so it's not just mush on mush. That is just pure Flavor Town right there. It really does have a lot going on flavor-wise. You know, the beef is smoky and rich. The gravy is so reduced with all that beef stock and smoked flavor. It's really got a lot of umami to it, which is really nice. And then you got a subtle sweetness from the onions and the stuffing. And then you've got some just lovely texture and flavor with those crispy potatoes, and it all comes together for a perfect bite. And there's spinach in there, so it's healthy. That is insane. Could use a little side of gravy though, kind of French dip style. Oops. Oh, that is so good. But before I probably eat the rest of what I just made, I think it's time for the onion-free version of the official taste test. Nick, do you want to try a Yorkshire burrito?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I had one of these. That's much more flavorful than the one in London.
Theirs wasn't nearly as smoky.
Yeah.
Or salted.
Yeah. It's very rich, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
With the Yorkshire.
I think anything wrapped in a Yorkshire pudding is going to be pretty rich.
Yeah, that's very true.
All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely fantastic smoky Yorkshire burritos. I highly recommend giving this one a try. That was a fantastic little feast I just had there. And I know it seems like a lot of work, but everything I did was pretty simple. You know, roasting potatoes, that stuffing came together really quick, gravy, super easy. And I know Yorkshire puddings may seem intimidating, but you're just pouring batter into a hot pan. Pretty simple stuff. And this would make for an absolutely fantastic holiday meal. And definitely something I'll be making again. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. The YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.